Sometimes the biggest stories aren't found in flashy headlines. They're hidden in plain sight, maybe in something as simple as a job posting. And that one posting, well, that's our first clue. It's going to lead us to a quiet but absolutely massive construction project right at the heart of America's defense industry. So it all starts right here. A recruiting firm was looking for a senior project manager. But look at the details. Lead a $100 million multi-year industrial build near Tallahassee, Florida. I mean, a project of that scale doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. Something big is happening. And get this, the company behind the job posting isn't some local builder. It's Orr Partners, a major league project management firm based in the DC area. When you see a name like that involved, it signals that this is a project with a really high level of importance and probably a lot of complexity. Yeah, this is definitely not your average warehouse construction. Which, of course, leads us to the central mystery we're going to unravel today. What kind of facility needs a 9-figure investment and a DC-based management team to get built? And where exactly in the Tallahassee area is all this going down? To get the answer, we first have to understand the location itself. So before we can pinpoint the exact construction site, we really need to get our heads around this unique and, as you'll see, strategically vital corner of Florida. The spot we're talking about is Wakulla County, a pretty rural area just south of the capital. And while a lot of residents commute into Tallahassee for work, the county has one massive economic engine of its own, a facility called St. Mark's Powder.
Okay, so St. Mark's Powder is no ordinary factory. It is the single largest producer of something called ball powder propellant on the entire planet. Now, this is a special kind of smokeless powder that's known for being incredibly consistent and stable, which makes it the absolute key ingredient for modern, reliable ammunition, and that makes this plant a truly indispensable national security asset.
Just how indispensable are we talking? Well, St. Mark's Powder supplies nearly 100% of the propellant for all U.S. military small arms ammunition. Just let that sink in for a second. What that means is, basically, every single time a U.S. soldier fires a rifle, the journey of that bullet started right here. And we're not just talking about one or two kinds of bullets here. We're talking about the absolute foundational ammunition of the entire U.S. military. Everything from the standard 5.56 rifle rounds to the heavy .50 cal machine gun rounds, and even the propellant charges for mortar systems. All of it flows from this one single plant in rural Florida.
So the big question is, who owns this incredibly critical facility? Well, the answer takes us right to the very top of the global defense industry.
The plant has actually passed through a few hands over the years. It was originally built by Olin Corporation way back in 1969, and it had a brief run under a company called Primex. But the really key date here is 2001. That's when it was bought by the defense giant General Dynamics. So here's kind of how the whole structure works. You have St. Mark's Powder, that's the plant on the ground. It's part of a bigger division called General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems, or GDOTS for short. And that whole division is a key piece of the massive General Dynamics Corporation. And just to put General Dynamics into perspective for you, this is a Fortune 100 company. These are the people who are the prime contractor for some of the most advanced military hardware in the world. We're talking everything from the M1 Abrams tank to Virginia-class nuclear submarines. They are an absolute titan of the industry. Okay, so now we have all the pieces of the puzzle, right? We've got the mysterious job posting over here, and we've got this critical national asset over there. It's time to connect the dots. Let's go all the way back to our original question. With everything we now know about this region and who operates there, where could a project of this scale possibly be located? And there it is. The search for that project manager confirms it. The massive industrial build is happening at St. Mark's Powder. That quiet little job posting was actually the first public signal of a major expansion at America's most critical propellant factory. So the really crucial point here is the sheer scale of this investment. Let's be clear, $100 million is not a minor upgrade. It's not a routine maintenance project. This is a significant, strategic capital investment. So here's the snapshot of what we know for sure. It's a $100 million project happening at the St. Mark's Powder plant, and it's set to last for over 2 years. And the purpose is stated explicitly: to build new facilities to produce explosive material for munitions. A big construction project is one thing, sure. But what does this specific investment at this specific place truly signify? Not just for the local community, but for national security as a whole.
This expansion really highlights a fascinating contrast. On one side, you have this small, rural county with about 30,000 people, and on the other, you have a global defense contractor that literally builds nuclear submarines. This $100 million project sits right at the intersection of those two very different worlds.
This plant isn't just some random tenant. It's the economic bedrock of Wakulla County. For half a century, it has been the largest private employer in the area, a true mainstay of the community. So this expansion means a continued commitment to those high-wage technical jobs for years to come.
But the national significance, well, it's impossible to overstate. Let's come back to the core fact here. This huge investment is being poured into a facility that represents a potential single point of failure in the entire military supply chain. In a world where we've seen just how quickly munitions can be used up, shoring up the sources is everything. Because right now, there is no backup.
So the ultimate takeaway is this. What we've uncovered is way more than just a construction project. It's a strategic move to fortify and expand a vital link in the nation's defense. It's about making sure that the supply of the most basic yet most critical material for the U.S. military is secure for the future. And that leaves us with one final and I think crucial question to think about. In a world with increasing global instability, what does a quiet $100 million investment in the absolute foundation of our munitions supply chain, what does that really signal about the future of defense readiness?